The Great American Race is almost here, but first, drivers must battle it out for a spot in the Daytona 250. With 50 drivers and 40 spots, the duels will sort it all out. We are here tonight. I'm with Pete in the booth. How you doing out there, Pete?
Eliza, oh yeah!
It's going to be a wild one. I'm excited for it. We have a lot of new drivers out here and a lot of familiar faces.
Yeah, absolutely. A whole lot of new faces. Daytona, so a lot of people are very, very comfortable with that. But who's going to be comfortable with maybe somebody new up behind them pushing them, maybe push or getting a shove from them, not quite know what to expect from the duels. Of course, the duels help us set next week for Daytona. But Eliza, the 3-month hiatus for me is over. I'm glad to be back. Got a couple great drivers in here that we're about to talk to. Eliza, how are you?
Man, I'm doing great. And I'm just excited to get another season going. And we're here in the Gen 6s for this season. But new this year, I used to do it all the time, but we're going to do driver spotlights. I got to give these guys so much props. They are amazing. And I want you guys to get to know them too. So for tonight, driver spotlight, we're going to have 2. So joining us tonight are going to be veteran drivers of SnB. They drive for FIWB. First up, we have the driver of the number 16 car, Dylan C. Robb, and also last season's Xfinity champion. He drives the number 42 machine, Brody Falliker. What's up, gentlemen? How are you guys?
Doing good.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Well.
Glad to hear it. I know we have a champion in here, both teammates. So I'm going to start asking you guys some questions, and we'll get started for this driver spotlight tonight. First question is so easy. Gen 6, that's what we're driving this season. Love it or hate it? Brody, what's your opinion?
I'm not very crazy about these cars. I might be a little bit biased, but I like the Xfinity cars by the end of the season, so I'm gonna say hate it for now.
All right, we'll see if we change your mind on that. I know, last year you got that trophy, and man, it looks great in that picture. You had an amazing season, so we'll see how you feel it by the end. All right, Dylan, what about you? Love it or hate it?
This is the car I mainly watch. I don't know how to explain it. I was born in 2003, so I don't watch the glory days in NASCAR. This is the car I remember the most because it was 2013 onwards. I like it at certain tracks. I think the super speedways are where it really shines. I haven't done much other racing than that. I think it's good at short tracks as well. We'll see how it is at road courses. But the intermediates are really where I'm confused. I don't know whether it's going to be full push at all times, or if we're going to have to save by letting off. Because a lot of those tracks with the 550 package where full throttle. So, we'll see how that goes. I'm kind of indifferent about it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something that drivers are going to have to get used to. Again, same as last season. We keep jumping from a different car to a different car. So it's going to be something that drivers have to get used to for sure. All right, question 2. Now, this doesn't have to be NASCAR, but what is your favorite real-life driver and their paint scheme? We'll go with Brody.
Well, I don't really have. So my driver right now is probably Josh Berry. It was Dale Jr. Yeah, he's a solid guy to ride with. But as far as paint schemes go, I think that the 2014 National Guard scheme that Junior ran at Daytona and won the 500 with is still probably my favorite.
I like it. I can totally get with that. All right, Dylan, what about you? Favorite driver and paint scheme?
Yeah, so my current favorite driver is Kyle Larson. I also like William Byron, but because I like William Byron because I was a Jeff Gordon fan. He's my favorite of all time, so the number just kind of fit. You can't really beat Larson's 42 paint schemes. That Target one is probably my favorite of his. But, you can't go wrong with that Rainbow Warrior or those Pepsi cars. The Nicorette yellow to green flames, that car was sick. But the only 124 die cast I've ever asked for was when Jeff Gordon ran the Rainbow Warrior in the Gen 6 at Bristol. That's like because it's the car I have watched the most with like one of the most iconic paint schemes on it. So it kind of just
100, yeah.
I was like, it's the only one. It's like the only one I really need, you know.
I'm staring at 2 Jeff Gordon Rainbow Warrior cars currently right now on my NASCAR shelf. So I'm right there with you. But yeah, absolutely amazing. And for question number 3, use one word to describe Daytona. And we'll go with Dylan this time.
Gotta be just insane. Like I think that just sums it up the most. No matter whether it's the 24-hour with the road course or these super speedway races. I mean, no matter who you're talking to, it's gonna be like it's gonna be an insane race.
I agree.
You know.
Brody, what about you? One word to describe Daytona.
So if it's all right with you, I'm gonna go with 2. I'm gonna go with prestige, and I'm also gonna go with chaotic because it's Daytona. Any event that you have here is gonna be chaotic, and if you end up in victory lane, I mean, it's probably the most prestigious place that you could probably win.
I agree. Fair enough. All right. Our next question. Who do you see as your biggest competitor? And we'll go with Brody.
Ooh. Um, I'm gonna say Justin Anastogak. He was bad fast all of last year. You know, I think, if we did a full points season last year, I think he would have got it. I think he is definitely sort of rival on speed. I think we're gonna be having a lot of really good battles this season. And then, I could say a couple of my teammates, like Francis or Jim. We're all so close on speed, so it's a lot of fun racing around all those guys.
Absolutely. All right, Dylan, what about you? Who do you see as your biggest competitor?
Never really thought about it that much before, but I mean, I guess I'll just go with who I'm around the most, which is exactly what competitor means. Yeah, I gotta say probably like I've been around Bridgman quite a bit. Gale, I was with Rosenbrook quite a few races last season and stuff like that.
Right.
Probably Austin Mitty as well. I mean, there's a bunch of guys who I see every week. They're different faces. I'm kind of the same speed every week. So it's like, yeah, sometimes people are having a bad day and I see them and I'm around them quite a bit. And or I'm having a good day and I'm around some of my teammates even. But
Right.
probably those guys I named.
Makes sense. Absolutely. I agree with you guys. Yeah, definitely competitive out there, and I can see those picks for sure. All right, final question, and then I'll send you back over because we're getting ready to head to qualifying. But what is one thing we don't know about you? Let's go with Dylan.
Man. I mean, I don't know if everyone knows. I make all of my paint schemes at least.
Nice.
All the FIWB ones, I'm the one that makes them. Brody's car, his championship car,
Okay.
I made that as well. That was pretty sick. That was pretty awesome.
It was, yes.
But yeah, I think I paint the little templates more than I actually race itself in like officials.
Well, I might have to hit you up after the race to do a little team scheme for me.
Sounds good.
All right, what about you, Brody? One thing we don't know about you.
I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that my fun fact is that I have never won at Daytona.
Really?
Yes, I don't even think I've won an official here.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Yes.
tonight we're looking to change that, huh?
Yes, definitely.
Right.
It would be awesome.
Heck
to
yeah.
win here.
Going from a championship to winning a starter here at Daytona, so that would be nice.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, it was so great having you in the booth, and a huge shout out to FIWB. You guys are great teammates, and you have a birthday on your team. It's going to be the one and only Jimmy
do.
Cocker. So, a huge birthday shout out to him, and I appreciate you guys being out here and let me talk to you.
Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to go put you back down with your team, but good luck in qualifying and the duels.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right. We heard it there from these teammates. for FIWB. Got a chance to chat with him and see what it's all about. But these guys, man, close practice out there. Look at these times, Pete. What do you think we're going to see for the duels tonight?
It's kind of funny that you ask. I was talking to some of the FIWB guys in their Discord the other day, and somebody was saying how close it was going to be. And I think I even shared a little bit of information with you about some of the times and what I thought about these cars. I really, just like I told them, we could see people in a top 25, top 30 only separated by as little as a tenth. That's really how tight I think these solo car runs are going to be. As far as the duels, it was called the shootout for a long time, and with just about now 49 guys out here for this night race. Oh, it's gonna be hectic, Eliza. What do you think?
It's gonna be hectic, chaotic, you name it, anything you can think of. But these guys are going to qualifying. I want to let you guys know how this works. But first, I see you guys in chat, and Pete, you were one of them. Thank you so much for the subs. I appreciate it. I just wanted to get those driver interviews out there so they didn't miss qualifying. But thank you so much, and I appreciate you guys for being here. Absolutely amazing. Papa Bear, thank you so much, Pete. You guys are awesome. I appreciate it. But these guys are going to qualifying. Here's how it's going to work. These guys are going to qualify. And based on their qualifying speed, they're going to split up into duels. So, if you qualify first or second in qualifying, you will start first and second in next week's race at the Daytona 250. For those who do not, I mean, these guys can still race. But those who do not, they still have to go for a grid position and also for a position at all. I mean, we have 49 drivers here, possibly going to 50. So 10 drivers, around 10. We only can only take 40 spots. So the rest of the drivers will not make it. The top 19 will move on in Duel 1, and the top 19 will move on in Duel 2 to the Daytona 250, so that will also make their starting grid position. I hope I didn't make that confusing, Pete, but yes, that's what's going on tonight.
No, not actually. You explained it probably better than I ever could. No, it's gonna be interesting for sure. Like you said, 50 sometimes, 49. Sometimes people do come in very last minute. I remember James Holzer used to show up during qualifying, go out, and you never knew where he learned to get the speed from, except for what a lot of these guys started doing during the week, and that is practice. Eliza, a lot of people will tell you that the real season starts after Daytona. Well, I couldn't agree with them more. Although I think we've got Atlanta right after. I'm not quite sure. I didn't look at the schedule to see if it was Legacy or the Super Speedway version of it. But these are brand new cars. A lot of people with brand new teammates. Even FTR adding Jarrett Cardwell to the team. We were talking about restarts throughout the season at some of the slicker tracks with the more horsepower under these cars. There's so many unknowns about these cars and the way this season is going to play out. In case you couldn't tell, I'm really excited about it.
I know, I am too. And you're talking about the second race. It is going to be the legacy format of Atlanta. So it's not going to be like pretty much the super speedway. So these guys, yeah, we're going to have so many different tracks out here. And take a look, Duncan Fall. He is, man. Go straight into the wall, but qualifying so far on pole. So if he keeps that, and Jacob Locklear in second, how about that? If these drivers keep that, Jordan McGraw to first. These guys are just going to keep switching, Pete. I mean, this is absolutely insane. Matt Burgess out front. Justin Anasagak absolutely takes it over. So these drivers just, keep playing a little musical cars out here.
Yeah, fastest time so far with Justin Anasagak, 48:59. Joe Berg is 61. Matt Burgess and Falliker, 62. Tom Flitcroft adds his 62 to the mix. 63 from Micah Aller. Jordan McGraw back to a 65. Connor Cunningham, 66, right along with Duncan Faw. You were just talking about Faw a moment ago about being up top. And here it is, less than a tenth. And I really, really believe we're going to see some very tight times.
I know, this is intense. I mean, Duncan Fall fell to 12th now after being on pole. That just goes to show you how close it all is. And Austin in chat says literally anyone could go home. It's going to be so intense. And I mean, he's absolutely correct. None of these drivers are safe. It's going to be chaos. I think we're going to see a very tame race for, I will say, around 27 laps, 25 laps. And then the final couple of laps, it's just going to be pure aggressive driving, trying to make it from middle to the front or from the rear to the front. No one is safe. Rivers Jones now on pole. Justin moves down to second. I mean, these times are just on top of each other. It's going to be so exciting. It's going to depend on how you qualify, where you go in Duel 1 or Duel 2. So we'll see where these drivers end up, but it should be over in about 10 seconds. So it's getting really late in qualifying. I don't think we're going to see any changes. So it looks like, knock on wood, Rivers Jones going to qualify pole for the Daytona 250. Justin Anasigak, who also won the season for Daytona, so close to winning the championship too, but missed out. He's going to be P2.
Yeah, how about that? Before any lead foots are dropped, both Rivers Jones and Justin Anscott know exactly where they're going to start already next week. This race, they can maybe work on working with a teammate to try to get them a little bit further up to the front if they felt a little uneasy about the whole super speedway style racing. We're about to see it all drop soon.
Absolutely. These guys are getting ready. We're going to duel number 1. And you see Rivers Jones, they are not even out there yet, but they are wanting me to announce it. Rivers Jones in that 91, he is going to be in first. Francis Hamilton in that number 48 is going to be to his outside. Row 2, Joseph Turley and Joe Berg. Then in row 3, we're going to have Brody Folliker with Micah Allard. He's going to be in 6. Row 4 is going to be Justin Rott and Jimmy Cocker in that 8 spot. And it's also his birthday. Again, a happy birthday to him. P9 is going to be Luke Allen with Jordan McGraw beside him. And in the next row is going to be Jose Ruiz in the 11th position with Duncan Fall in 12th.
Yeah, P13 looks like it's going to be Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in that number 13. P14 is going to be Brian Pizzicami in the 78. P15, Jarrett Cardwell in the 12 with Jamie Wright, newcomer to SnB in that 03, sitting P16. P17, William Roberts in that 94. Forrest Smith to his outside in the 15, round out row number 9. Row 10 is going to be Charles Kramer Jr., that is, in the 28 with Andrew Sanford in the 37, P20. P21, Mark Santucci in the 81 with Zach Deutscher in the double deuce sitting in that 22nd spot. Matt Gale in the 67, 23rd, and Chuck Cody in the 31 starting 24th.
All right, and last but not least is going to be Jai Baxter in that 54 machine. So a lot of luck to these guys in Duel 1. It's going to be crazy, Pete.
Yes, it is. With these guys, with this kind of racing and with 25 guys in the field, I don't know if you can actually sit back and let the race come to you, wait until others wreck out. I think some people in practice, they were a little timid about getting onto the push. Of course, that whole rule of don't push the pusher, it follows you everywhere you go with super speedway racing. But also, Eliza, none of these cars really line up. There's no, Ford that can push a Toyota that can push a Chevy or any mix of that. All bumpers on these cars are very rounded. Mm-hmm. I was actually talking to some of these guys in practice. I remember Kyle Busch many years back in these cars. He had his team glue sandpaper to his back bumper. That way there was some kind of grip when they were getting pushed. At this style of racing, I don't think anybody can hold back. I think they got to go right from the drop of the green. It'll be interesting to see which line prevails.
I'm going to take a little bit of a different strategy. I mean, you can push, but you got to be dead square on. So they will have to be careful with that. But if it's me, I'm staying away from the drama until at least half the race is complete here. So I want to stay out of trouble. They have one set of tires. I don't think they're obviously going to need them, but we'll see. It's just based on what you want to do. But I'm staying out of trouble at first.
Absolutely. Well, we're about to see exactly what kind of strategy these guys are all going to play out with. Eliza, pace car is off the track, coming to the flag stand. Season 5 is underway. Boogity, boogity, boogity.
Here we go, duel 1, and these guys are off and running. You can see them. A great start for these guys. Absolutely no problem. We'll see what they can do as they go around, but man, oh man, we're going to have Francis Hamilton out with a noselead. We're going to have Joe Berg in that 93 on the high side. Rivers Jones in the 91. Out behind, we have Micah up there. Joseph Turley, these guys already. Nice single file line on the bottom and top, and I'll tell you what, take a look at that high side. They're making me nervous. A lot of squiggling for Joe Berg. He is getting one heck of a push out there.
Yeah, 61 and Micah Allard right behind him in that Pennzoil machine, trying to push and push and push. I was talking to a couple people in pre-race as well. They said when they were tandemed up on the high side, and there were only those two, there were 4 cars on the bottom in the long run, and that high side really came alive, much like the Next Gen or Xfinity series did. But again, Eliza, these cars have more power, so I have to see how it all plays out and what the wear's like.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do here, but so far they are looking good. But man, these cars get extremely squirrely. You do have to watch how much you hit them, and I'm a little worried. We have that 50, no, it looks like Matthew Gale maybe. I'm trying to find out who that is that's straggling back. Hopefully, yeah, that is Matthew Gale. Hopefully he's got the draft here. It looks like he still might, but they are going to have to watch that. You want to stay out of trouble, but not enough where you're going to lose everybody.
No, you can't. But one other thing that we haven't really discussed, these cars with more horsepower, they also draft a lot better than the Next Gens did. Next Gens, you really had to hold on, had to hold a steady line in order to pull yourself back up or draft your way back up. These cars do draft a whole lot quicker, and it also, these cars are where the whole slam draft came from. You can get rammed into from the backside by somebody that's not quite paying attention to the speed. You really got to be careful in these machines.
Absolutely. We're going to take a little break and try to fix my overlay. I don't know what the deal is, but we'll get that fixed up for you guys. But man, these guys extremely close. We'll see what they can do. Pete, talk to me for a minute about where people are. We got some guys making some nice moves out there.
Absolutely, Mike Allen, just as you say that, dropping the bottom with the 48 of Francis Hamilton right up his trumpet. Also, here comes the 91 of Rivers Jones, our pole sitter. He's going to drop him back to P3. P4 is going to be Joe Turley in that not-so-unlucky number 13. Got last year's champ, Brody Falker, right behind him in the 42, 93, and 11 up high. Jimmy Cocker, big congratulations on last season, coming as the runner-up, but also big happy birthday to Mr. Cocker as well. Eliza, when we kicked off Big on iRacing, Jimmy Cocker opened up season number 1 with one of the biggest wins right here at Daytona. Didn't mean much in the duels. In fact, I don't remember if we had duels season number 1. They all kind of bleed together. But big happy birthday to the one and only Jimmy Cocker, piloting that what looks like an old AOL scheme, number 11.
Yeah, we did have the duels, and Jimmy, he ended up winning the Daytona 250 for that season 1. And then for season 2, it was Tom Flitcroft. Guess who won season 3 for the Daytona? It was Flitcroft again. So
yep.
He's looking to make a return into victory lane for the Daytona season opener here. And then at season 4, we had Justin Anisagak, who was extremely strong last season. I think he can do something very strong this season, if not a championship. It was extremely close, but we have Micah out front. He is just doing a phenomenal job. He does really, really well out on these super speedways. He's a heck of a pusher too, but right now he's doing a great job leading.
Absolutely. Francis Hamilton really done very well sticking to that lane backing off in the corners, don't want to push there. And the guy in third place, Rivers Jones, he's kind of backing off as well, not really pressing much at all. But how about P8? Got Jamie Wright, newcomer to Shake a Bake, the last 2-3 laps in a row, running the fastest laps of the race so far. The guy shows he's here to race.
Yeah, he's gained 5 spots from where he started, so he's doing a phenomenal job. But you guys know it's Daytona, so you can be so bunched up and be 15th, and it doesn't look like you are 15th. It looks like you're maybe P5. That's how crazy, how tight, how chaotic Daytona and super speedways can be. So it's great to see these veterans out here with these rookies, and everyone seems to be doing a great job trying to make as good as they can, because like we talked about earlier, it is extremely difficult to try to match these bumpers up. You have to hit it straight on. You can even push the pusher, Pete. You just have to make sure that you know when to do it, and you have to be straight. Otherwise, you're turning someone.
Yeah, with how wiggly these cars can be at times, I always stick with the rule. Don't push the pusher. That way, you never ever say, "Well, is it okay now? Is it okay now? Is it okay now?" You just stick with the rule and you push on. But yeah, I mean, if you can work with the person, you trust them being able to hold the line, and if you're third in line and you can trust both of those people up there. Yeah, as you see the car up top get a little squirrely, talking about the 7 of Luke Allen. Big welcome back to him as well. Luke Allen last season had a breakout season, if I ever saw one. Between season 3, as the 03 gets a little squirrely from 78 right behind. But yeah, that's 7. I'm looking for some big things out of him this year.
Absolutely. Still on the run, man. I'll tell you what, this low side is just doing so insanely well. I'm kind of surprised that high side is not making more of a run, but you can see the high side. Let's see if we can find out who that is led by. That's going to be, looks like Luke Allen in that 7 machine, so he's doing a great job leading it, but that low line just on a huge run, and that 03 going to bring it down, get in that low side. He's going to abandon the high side, so I think they're going to drop back even further, but we'll see if they get in a single file line. So far, they're still going too wide.
Well, he's got a great pusher right behind him. Brian Fitzgerald tries to jump out of the admin tower that he was in last year, get right back behind the wheel. So the 03, maybe just not a great match. Talking about Jamie Wright, maybe the 78, a little bit more confident in his abilities, perhaps. Will get up behind the 7 of Luke Allen and shove for all he's worth. Behind the 78 of Kennedy, you've now got the 15 of Forrest Smith. Smitty, he came to Shake and Bake last season. He got through some trials and tribulations as well. He'll find himself third on the high side, and right behind him, I believe that's going to be Zach Deutscher in that double deuce. Welcome back to him as well.
Absolutely. I see you out there, Real. I hope you're doing well. I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are amazing, and I know these drivers love the support, as do we. But Micah still out in the lead here. Look at that push from Francis. I mean, dead in the center. Just a phenomenal job. And you can see, as we talked about it before, Rivers Jones, he's taking it easy, does not want to push the pusher. You can, but in my opinion, it's just too risky. Pete was saying the same earlier. Maybe as we get on in the later part of the race, but we still have just under 20. I'm not taking that risk just yet. That high side, still trying to hold on to it, still led by Luke Allen, a veteran driver for SnB, so great job out here.
Yeah, about 42. Brody Falliker slowly but surely finding his way back up towards the front. He's got the 43 that looks like might be, or maybe he's at the 13, excuse me, of Joe Turley that he's kind of following right along. And yeah, Eliza, it just seems like that high side is stuck, maybe a little bogged down about P4. They haven't been able to make any real progress, even with the 78 getting up behind the 7 of Luke Allen. They're just looks just kind of like they're stuck. Maybe you have to try to get on down, maybe side draft a little bit, or would you consider that too aggressive for just a duel?
Yeah, you know, you got to do what you got to do. I'm not against side drafting if I have to, but yeah, they're having to work twice as hard as the guys on the low line. So that's something that I know they're concerned about. Remember, guys, only the top 19 will move on. So we're going to have, 6 drivers that will not move on for Duel 1, which I know is going to be quite the bummer for a lot of these drivers. They're going to do all that they can to try to make it in. So once we hit 5 to go, look for the chaos to ramp up.
Absolutely. One guy, and maybe I'm not sure if it's a connection issue or what. Newcomer to Shake and Bake. Unfortunately, maybe just couldn't get the machine to start. Maybe a little bit of internet or network connection, not quite sure. But in the back, you got some of the guys that made a run at last season's top 12. Talking about, Matt Gale, Chuck Cody, Andrew Sanford, Mark Santucci, Jose Ruiz, William Roberts. Back there that they're down a few spots right now. Excuse me. It'd be interesting to see how they try to progress through the field as this race goes on. Or, Eliza, are they kind of just stuck? Is traffic kind of keeping them back there? Are they going to have to get a little bold and maybe take it 3 wide, come up the middle? If there's any kind of a possible gap open, when is the time to go in your eyes?
Not for another, I would say 10 more laps. Right now, I'm just marking the laps away, trying to keep my machine clean. You gotta watch. I mean, Francis Hamilton, he is all over Micah's back bumper, but I can tell you, if you're making 100% contact all the way down the straightaway, you're at risk for blowing your engine. You have to watch that overheating. So I will not be surprised when we see Francis kind of back off the bumper of Micah. He has to cool that engine off, and you see him backing off a little bit, then back up to make some contact. I bet you his engine is pretty hot right now.
Oh yeah, I would imagine. Every now and then you'll see that Detroit Tigers number 48 pull on up, or if he sees the 61 pull up, he'll try to guide it low right along that yellow line just to get a little bit of clean air on the nose of that number 48. But man, going into some of these turns, he is stuffed right underneath that back bumper. No moving whatsoever for that Tiger.
This is where, Luke Allen, he's got a lot of work ahead of him. Brian just really have to push him. He's going to have to try to make something happen. And this is where pushing the pusher, if you get it right, can come in handy. But boy, oh boy, you can't afford a single mistake. And he just lost the pusher. So that high side is quickly going down. A lot of cars switching position, but they're still holding on to that outside. And it looks like maybe catching back up and gaining some positions out there. We'll see.
Yeah, again, still kind of staying right around the outside of that number 42 for Brody Falker. Now the 76 that's going to be Justin Rott. Again, newcomer to Shake and Bake. We're going to be reintroducing a bunch of people all season long. Eliza, I would love it if from the duels all the way through the final race of the season, we've got 40, 50 guys wanting to make the field every single week. But we know after week 2, week 3, it starts to die down, and you have your main comers and goers here every single week. But what a great testament to Shake and Bake and the series that it's become, going back to console and the open wheel series that you broadcast for, which some guys have come over from there for this, and now season 5. There's some leagues, some clubs that don't make it 1 or 2 seasons, never mind working on season 5. And as healthy as this is, a lot of these drivers believe in this series, just like I do, Eliza. You got a good thing going here.
Yeah, it's all thanks to the drivers and our admins. I mean, they just do a phenomenal job, and we wouldn't be a league without the drivers. So just a huge shout out to everyone. I've said it a few times, but they are absolutely amazing, so talented. And I know, there can be some beef during and after races, but in the end, everyone comes out here for the fun and to race with their friends. So, we're going to keep it going as long as these guys are still having fun. And these guys, man, It is just so extremely tight. It looks like that high side making it up there a little bit. Luke Allen has gained 11 spots. Brian Pizzichimi, 20 spots gained for him. And we have Jamie Wright, 21 spots gained for Smith, 24. So these guys on the move, just absolutely incredible.
I tell you what, the 42 just went up to about that middle line. I don't know if he meant to try a little bit of a side draft on the 7, but if that was on purpose, it did not work in his favor. The 7 actually shot up almost a full car length of Brody Falker's number 42 FIW Camaro. And just as I say that, the outside line falling back just a little bit. They continue to stay side by side. It's just a single file line on the bottom.
Couple of guys looking like they're getting a little squiggly out there. We'll see what happens, but man, it's starting to come down. We have 10 to go. Things are going to get very interesting very, very quickly. So we're going to have to keep an eye on these guys. It looks like some contact made with that outside wall as they are really switching it up here in the back of the pack.
Yeah, I was actually just going towards the back of the pack. I was talking about Matt Gale and a few others earlier. I'm wondering what these guys are going to do to try to make up some spots. They want to be able to transfer in to next week's Daytona 250. But right now, Matt Gale is still right where he started, right around P23. Chuck Cody in 22nd, Andrew Sanford 21st, William Roberts in 20th. So these guys, if they want to race to have a shot at winning at Daytona next week, they're going to have to make some moves here pretty quick. As you mentioned, 9 to go.
Yeah, it's getting close. Down to the wire here. They come down the backstretch. And we still have Micah that is leading the field. You can see that high side out there still struggling. I mean, that low side is just doing a fantastic job keeping everyone behind him. You got Micah, Francis Hamilton, Rivers Jones, Joseph Turley, Forrest Smith, Brody Folliker, and then Luke Allen on that high side. Oh, maybe not. Who is that on that high side? We'll see. But man, take a look at that high side. They are just from the wall all the way down. So extremely close. It looks like it's going to be the 16. We're getting down to the wire, Pete.
Absolutely. How about Forrest Smith in that 15 up on that high side in his star-spangled Chevrolet, now pulled up in front of that 7, making some hay, now pulling up to the outside of that number 13 of Joe Turley. Next in line would be the 91. Can they pull on up? We'll have to see. That high side looks like it might have a little bit more momentum. Just may have been, I don't know if Luke Allen maybe scraped the wall earlier or something like that, but it's just that he was able to pull up and contend with the front runners on the bottom. But that 15, he's up to P3 on the bottom.
Take a look. And yes, if they qualified 1 or 2, they don't have to worry about it. They are safe. They are golden. They are already on pole for the Daytona 250. So no worries for them. They're just out here for the fun of it. Micah's still in the lead, though. I mean, he looks to be pretty safe. If it comes down to it, things could get pretty chaotic, but Francis Hamilton looking solid. And that high side is up to the front now. Forrest Smith leading that high side, and we're going to have, looks like Rivers Jones behind him. Man, these guys are just so incredibly close. Brian Pizzichimi on that outside, still up there. And he was telling me today, I probably won't make it. I'm not going to do very well. Brian, he's out front here. It's sitting P6.
Yeah, Brian is doing very well. He's up now 8 spots back, as you said, into P6. Joe Turley behind, Rivers Jones in front. But the 61 rather, Micah Allard just went to pick up the high side. Usually when you come up or move back down and make blocks like that, it doesn't work. A whole lot of lifting right there. So make sure that these guys aren't going around. We've gone caution-free so far. Eliza, I'm seeing a whole lot of moving.
You know when I said about 5 to go, that's when we're going to see some chaos? We're here, Pete, and we got Forrest Smith really giving him a push. Francis Hamilton back to 4th, not too far behind, but you can see just how much Micah is going back and forth from those shoves. So this is going to be extremely close. We have Francis leading that outside, and he's going to try to make something happen. He's got Luke Allen behind him. We'll see what they can do, but we're coming up. 4 to go.
Forrest Smith absolutely locked onto the back bumper of the 61 all the way into and halfway through the turns 3 and 4. Did not want to let go. Still have Rivers Jones sitting there in P3 in that 91-48, trying to look to the low side, but had to give it up for just a moment. 7 tried to go with him, but there was not a clear opening. 48 finds a hole back on the bottom. Top 4, a little bit of a break.
That outside has crumbled a bit. Now we're going to have a couple of takers to try to make something happen up there. This is when you have to make moves. You have to get up there, and you can see Joseph Turley went up there, and we have a couple of other drivers. We have Rivers Jones. He is up there. We have another driver out in the middle. Not a great place to be, Pete.
Mike Allard got shuffled into the middle, kind of the sucker hole.
Oh, huge chaos. 81, we have a couple of drivers involved in this. Andrew Sanford, Chuck Cody involved. Will that bring out a yellow? It doesn't look like it just yet, but a lot of damage out here for Chuck Cody.
Yeah, so one car go towards pit road, the other one up in the wall. Caution number 1 is going to fly. Eliza, about that, a green-white checker to end duel number 1.
Craziness. Absolutely crazy. I'm going to go back here. We have Chuck Cody. We have Mark Santucci. We have Charles Kramer involved. Jimmy Cocker, birthday boy, it looks like he is up in 16, so not in too much danger, but man, he's got to be pretty nervous. I mean, he did win season 1 Daytona 250. He's currently racing just to even make it in there. The top 19 will move on. So these guys that are back here, Joe Berg, Jose Ruiz for FTR, Matthew Gale, scary spot to be in.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken right now, Matt Gale, as you just mentioned right now, sitting P20. It looks like he started to make some moves, either that or maybe just got a couple from this wreck. But if I'm not mistaken, right now Matt Gale would be the bubble driver from this duel. I could be wrong. I think he might need 1 or 2 spots in order to become the bubble driver. But yeah, Jose Ruiz sitting 19th, Matt Gale 20th, and Charles Kramer 21st.
Yeah, if Rivers Jones is going to be out front here, that'll switch things up. Our top 2 drivers from qualifying, so that'll change the numbers a little bit here. But man, it's going to be on coming back to this restart here. We have Forrest Smith out in the lead, Francis Hamilton in second, sitting in a great spot. Rivers Jones just doing a phenomenal job. Brody Folliker, our champ from last season. Joseph Turley in 5th. Justin Rod in 6th. We have Luke Allen in 7 in that 7 machine. Lucky 7's right there. Duncan Fall in 8th. Brian Pizzakimi 9th. And Jamie Wright out here in your top 10.
Yeah, P11 is going to be Zach Deutscher with Jared Cardwell right behind him in 12th. Jordan McGraw, old J-Mac, right now sitting 13th. William Roberts 14th. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, welcome back to him, P15. Jimmy Cocker, as you mentioned a moment ago, right now sitting P16. Joe Berg, who had a phenomenal season last season, right now sits 17th. Matt Gale 18th. Charles Kramer and Micah Allard round out the top 10. Micah down on pit road.
Yeah, a little shocking there. We do have a couple of drivers that are on pit lane. It's going to be Micah, Jose, Andrew Sanford, Mark Santucci, and Chuck Cody. So interesting to see that there. Some of them did receive damage, so obviously they're going to have to repair it. But makes you a little nervous, Pete, when you're trying to come back out on track. You got a lot of mountain to climb here, so we'll see what they can do. But Forrest Smith, great position for him. Unfortunately, last lap chaos is just always insane. And Snow, I see it out there. Chiefs versus Eagles. How about neither? What do you say, Pete? Chiefs versus Eagles.
My dad was a big Eagles fan, so I gotta hope that the Eagles pull it out. They looked really, really strong last night, but it seems like the whole world. Well, from what I saw anyway, I'm surrounded by Bills fans nowadays, unfortunately. But I know there's a lot of people against the Chiefs just because they don't want to see them three-peat. But Mahomes is a force to be reckoned with.
He sure is. Absolutely. But yeah, we'll party it up. Super Bowl, you have to, but man, oh man. That's a combo right there for sure. And Maddie says, I'm with you, Frozen. RC says, hey, 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 and go Eagles. All right, I see you guys. All right.
All right, so
Go ahead, Pete.
Eliza, in the next race, Justin Anscock is going to be leading the way there. Well, right now we got his teammate in Forrest Smith leading. I wonder if Justin maybe gave him a couple pointers, maybe spotting him along the way, saying, hey, this is where the run's coming from. This is where the pushing seems to be the steadiest. This is where maybe this is what you want to do. But right now, Forrest Smith with 3 to go, he's going to have the 91 of Rivers Jones right behind him. Rivers Jones has spent most of this race running P3. The 48 for the most has been P2 up until him in the 15 split the 61 to put him in the sucker hole. Lights top the pace car are out. We're about to go back green next time by.
Yeah, we are, and it's going to be wild. I know these drivers have to be talking to their teammates, trying to get mentally prepared for what's about to happen. You know it's going to get crazy, so we'll see what they can do here. But on board with Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, just a great driver. He does a phenomenal job out on track, so he's sitting P16. So I know he's hoping to try to gain a few spots just to keep out of trouble. But even if you're up front, Pete, that doesn't mean you're safe.
Oh, no, not at all, especially with the way people want to push and try to maybe slingshot around to get that W, steal it from you, to give them a solid second row spot when we start next week for the Daytona 250 here with Shake and Bake. So everybody wants to win. Everybody wants the best possible position to take that green flag when we go green next week.
I don't know about you, but I'm a little nervous. I can't imagine being these guys, even if you're out in first. I mean, you're just not safe. You can absolutely push the guy in first to a death. We'll see what happens, but yeah, we're getting ready to go back to green, and we'll see if we can keep it green as we head.
It's going to be interesting to see if this green-white checker is a determination or a preemptive mark about how the rest of this season is going to be. I can't wait to see what unfolds in race number 2 as part of Duel Night.
Green
and then,
flag.
of course, for the 250 next week, green flag. Let's go.
So far, so good. The top side in the back looks like is having a little bit of a struggle, and he is getting a huge push trying to make sure he can get back up there. But we'll see. They're already taking it 3 wide, and they're already making some contact. Pete, the 11, saying, I got places to go. I'm going through the middle, and he's got some help. But it looks like some contact. Matthew Gale's going to snag somebody, and that is going to probably bring out another caution. We'll see.
Yellow.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, caution number 2, hard to the outside by Micah Allard. Still not quite sure why he went down pit road. Maybe his car wasn't handling the way that he thought it should at the end of that initial long run. He spent most of the night on the bottom side, so maybe his tires were a bit worn, and when he got put in the sucker hole, found that he had no grip and had to bring it down pit road. But it'll be interesting to talk to him at some point, maybe after the race.
Bring it back here. Take a look on board with Matthew Gale. Just makes contact with Jimmy Cocker. It gets him a little loose here and makes contact with the driver ahead. So really unfortunate. I know these guys really, really want to make the Daytona 250. I mean, it's points, it's fun, it's prestigious. It's something that you don't want to miss.
Not at all. Jimmy Cocker, we talked about him earlier. He was not Jimmy Cocker, Micah Allard. And Jimmy Cocker too, but Micah Allard hardened that outside wall after going down pit road. He was in the top 4 last season, if I'm not mistaken. Jimmy Cocker, he was a runner-up to his F5WB teammate, Brody Falliker. So a lot of moving and shaking. I'm not quite sure how this is going to play out. We might see some big names from last season not make the race next week.
Man, can you imagine? It would be tough to see because, I feel for these guys. I want everyone to make it. I've already said it in their chats, like, y'all got to make it. But only so many can. Only 40 can race here. So some of them just, unfortunately, will not make it.
Yep, 25 in this duel. I believe it's going to be 24, 25 in the next. So we're talking about 49 or 50 guys and girls trying to make the Daytona 250 next week for Shake and Bake. And these Gen 6 cars, we talked about a little bit earlier, they are a new animal, brand new beast for this season. 3 seasons in Cup, 1 season in Xfinity, and now the Gen 6 car. Might be a monkey wrench in some people's way they drive. They're going to have to figure out how to recalibrate their wheel how they like it, where they want to get their brake bias with the additional power these things have. The brakes on brake packages on these, if I'm not mistaken, or less than what they were in the next gen. So again, brand new animal, Eliza.
Absolutely. I mean, I even have to change my force feedback. You have different things that you have to change just to get it comfortable for each track, your brake bias and certain other, what the way the steering is laying. So there's a lot of different caveats to each one of these, but you have to make sure that you can adjust to the changes of a new car. You have the extra horsepower, and you have the way that these sit with each other when you're trying to push. You have the extra element of you can't overheat your engine. So they have to watch out for all of these things. It's a lot to keep track of.
Oh, yeah, it's a whole lot to keep track of. Then you're also listening to your spotter. You're wondering if the car behind you is going to line up just right and not spin you, especially coming to green, white checker attempt number 2 here pretty soon. The 91's been pretty solid all night long. So is the 48, the 42, last season's champ. He knows how to get things done. Joe Turley right now sitting P5 with Justin Rott. So you've got some established drivers up front, and you've got some new and upcoming drivers as well. Have to see how it plays out. I'm excited for it.
I am too, and I know these guys have got to be a little nervous. They want to make sure they make the show. 19 are going to make it on from this race, minus the drivers that finished 1-2 in qualifying. So it's a lot to take on. And then next week we're going to have the 250, which is very, very exciting. I'm looking forward to it, but Season 5 starts here tonight with the duels, and man, it has been quite the show. 3 to go, and we're going to go back to green once again this time around, but we still have some drivers trying to catch back up, including Micah. You can see him. He's going to be the last car out there.
Yeah, Micah in that Pennzoil number 61. Again, very, very strong car. Made a stop down pit road. Don't need to beat a dead horse. I get it. Matt Gale in front of him. William Roberts, Charles Kramer. Going to be the 5 around him. Jose Ruiz right now sitting P18. Jimmy Cocker 17th, so he would race if he's able to stay where he is going forward. Joe Berg right now sitting 15th. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, Jordan McGraw, Jarrett Cardwell, and Zach Deutscher, all the cars outside of the top 10. Do we see another wreck, or do we go green, Eliza?
I said the chaos is going to happen. I would not be surprised if we saw another one. We'll see what happens, but it should be 3 only. And then it just, it is what it is, and you're going to finish where you finish. But it's going to be crazy. Real, I am doing great. I hope you are too. These drivers, though, I know they have to be nervous. A lot of talk going on over team comps here. It's going to be wild for these drivers. And the teammates that are not racing, they got to be playing spotter for these drivers. Absolutely. It takes so much teamwork to make this happen and get all your teammates in. So there's a lot on the line right now.
There's a lot on the line. Teamwork is what gets this season, gets this community, this club up and off the ground each and every year. 15, again, about to get a big old push from Rivers Jones right behind him. 48-42, teammates up top. Where do we go? Green flag's out one more time.
On board with Duncan Fall, gained 15 positions so far, but he's on that high side. You have that 76 pushing directly in front of him. That is Justin Rott. These guys giving all that they can. We'll see what happens. Can we make it to the green?
We saw the 7 up on the high side right now. He's 4 on the bottom. Little less swirly or a little squiggly with that wheel. Not quite sure if his car's not quite handling the way that he wants. The 78, you right behind him, going to be Brian Pizzichetti. He's got 6 spots so far. Again, big welcome back to him behind the wheel. 48-42, kind of falling back a little bit. Bottom 3, clear low.
Man, we're coming up on the final lap. Can we make it there? It is going to be extremely tight. These guys are all over each other. I will not be surprised if we see a big one coming up to the flag here, but the 48, a huge run for him. Some help from the 42, but that high side, they now have the run out there, doing a great job.
Here comes Forrest Smith back on the inside. 13 thought about maybe ducking a little bit low down the backstretch. Right now, Rivers Jones, not only did he take the pole for next week's race, but right now leading the way. 13th, shoving. 48 going to try to look high as the 13.91 go low. Eliza through 3 and 4.
Here we go. Rivers Jones, can he get it done? The 13 going up high. That's Joseph Turley. These guys all over the place. Can they make it happen? 3 wide. Hold on to it, guys. The 42, he wrecks. Can they make it through the line? Francis Hamilton wins it. Joseph Turley second. Rivers Jones third. We have Forrest Smith in fourth. Justin Rott fifth. Duncan Fall sixth. Jamie Wright 7th, Brian Pizzikimi 8th, Jarrett Cardwell 9th, Zach Deuscher, he's going to end up in the top 10.
Tell you what, fastest lap that race. On the very last lap, Jimmy Cocker, that tells me he wasn't lifting. He had a place to go.
He did have a place to go, and man, already we're going to line up for this second round here. Absolutely insane. I'm trying to wrap my head around this, but here we go for Duel 2. Absolutely insane. All right, on pole, we're going to have Justin Inisagak in that 4 machine to his outside. We're going to have Brendan Book in that 5 car. Row 2, Jonathan Hernandez. He is going to be in that 1 machine with Matt Burgess on his outside. Row 3 is going to hold Tom Flitcroft, 2-time Daytona 250 winner, with John Honeycutt to his outside. And row 5 is going to be Thomas Harmon with Steven Maggio to his outside. In 9th, we're going to have Riley Rosenbrook in that 86 machine with Connor Cunningham. Brian Jackson in 11th with Jacob Locklear in 12th. And go ahead, Pete.
I apologize.
No,
Sorry
you're
about
good.
that. Mike Papa Bear Campbell in that number 71 sitting P13. Jacob Palmer in the 39 14th. 15th, Austin Mitty in that number 9 with Michael Walls in the 47. Round out row number 9 is going to be Kevin Dallatorre in the 92 with P.J. O'Leary sitting 18th. 19th, going to be Hunter Johnson in the 32 with Philip Bridgman in the 24 sitting P20. P21 is going to be Rob Newman in the 33 with Matt Sauceler in the in the 45 sitting 22nd. 23rd is going to be Jeremy Kramer with Dylan C. Robb to his outside. And Eliza, 24 cars for duel number 2.
Yeah, 19 move on. So absolutely insane. And we have some fans out there yelling Frank. I didn't even get to see the drivers that did not make it. So we're going to have to put that out. I'll be coming out on Twitter and whatnot with a graphic on who is going to be on grid and where they're going to be for the Daytona 250. It's going to be a lot of fun, but here we go for duel number 2. Justin going to be leading the field out here. Just such a strong driver, so consistent. No surprise.
No, not at all. I mean, Brody Falliker in pre-race interviews kind of called him out, or not, I don't want to say called him out, but gave him that mention, which, to some guys, it can be quite a lot, saying, hey, man, thank you for the recognition about how great our race was last season. Justin Anscock, unfortunately, fell a little short in the season finale last year, but here he is starting on pole for race number 2, which means he will be starting outside pole for the Daytona 250 next week. Lights atop the pace car are out. He's about to make that hard left towards pit road. Eliza, we're going green. Duel number 2 with 30 laps ahead.
Yeah, we're getting ready to grow green here. And I think Duel 2 is going to be just as wild and crazy as Duel 1. And here we go. We are off to a great start. Justin on that inside. Brendan on the outside. We'll see what these guys can do in Duel number 2. But so far, keeping it straight across. I mean, dead even. That low side maybe getting a little bit of a nose out, but it seems like it's a little bit more pushier here than in Duel 1 at the start.
Yeah, I agree. But Brendan Book, he's no super speedway slouch whatsoever. The guy loves this kind of racing, just like the car sitting P3 on the bottom side right now. And you talked about him earlier, a two-time winner of the Daytona 250 here in Shake and Bake, the one and only Tom Flitcroft in that Bud number 8-5.
Woo!
He's got enough room to move on down. New leader.
57, Matt Burgess making some contact with that low side. These guys are shuffling everywhere. The chaos, it may start a lot earlier than what I was anticipating, but we got Francis Hamilton out there. Winner chicken dinner. Let's go. Daytona 250, here we come. But great job out there. You guys did a phenomenal job. What a finish to the race. But yeah. We got Brendan Book out front. We got the 4 car in second. Jonathan Hernandez third. Matt Burgess fourth. And Tom Flitcroft going to round out your top 5 so far.
Yeah, you wonder if the top 2 saw anything in duel number 1 that really made them want to be on that bottom side for the long run. And, I mean, you already see once the 5 pulled down and there was a little bit of contact there about P3, the bottom side just started to pull away. Right now, up to about the 8 of Tom Flitcroft on the bottom is just about clear. Definitely up to the 1 car, John Hernandez.
On board with Connor Cunningham. Sitting in that 3 machine, you can just see, you can hear him letting off that throttle, just trying to feather it, trying to keep up, not trying to pressure the guy in front of him. You don't want to push the pusher way back there. It's just too much going on. And some guys going from the high side to the low side and vice versa. So these guys are all over the place trying to find their home on the track.
Yeah, Connor Cunningham, another one that had a breakout season last year in the Xfinity cars, made it up to post-race interviews a couple of times. So good to see him have success last season. And so far this season up on the high side, looking pretty good, sitting, as you said, about P10, right where he qualified.
That 3 car, you can see him out there. John Honeycutt, ooh! Tom Harmon just incredibly loose with that shove. I mean, he's just having a heck of a time. And I can tell you, off season, we've had some races, and he has just been blipping in and out with his internet. So tonight is the first night, Pete, that he has been able to even stay in a race. So I'm glad he's out here, and man, he's getting more than he can handle right now with those push.
I tell you what, one guy that's going for all he can, whether he can handle it or not, back in P13, Jacob Palmer, fastest guy out there on track, 44, 95, the only guy in the 44s last time. Palmer not laying off that throttle pedal whatsoever.
Hey, how about that? Good job for him. That's awesome. Matt Burgess on that high side getting a push. The 86 of Riley, I think. Yeah, Riley Rosenbrook. He is holding back a little bit, trying to give a little bit of space, and he's going to bring it back up so no one takes it over. As soon as I say that, but Tom Flitcroft directly in front of him, we're going to have Jonathan Hernandez, and it should say the 1 car should be Hunter Johnson, but he's not showing up here. Where is he?
Yeah, I'm not. Hunter Johnson, he's back in P17 in his number 32. I believe it's going to be a Toyota Care, pink and white Toyota Camry. We've got the 9 of Austin Mitty and Philip Bridgman behind. Right ahead is going to be the other guys we had in pre-race interviews, Dylan Robb and then Jacob Locklear, Team FTR driver.
Dylan C. Robb in 16th in that 16 machine, so hopefully that brings him some luck. But man, these paint schemes, that's another thing I got to bring up, Pete. These paint schemes this season, I mean, they're always phenomenal, but man, they are bringing the fire this season with those schemes. I love every last one of them. Just so many talented painters up in here. Like I already said, I'm going to have to hit these drivers up and make me some paint schemes.
Yeah, Dylan Robb, I see a lot of schemes that he shares over on the FIWB team Discord. And I tell you, he has so much support from his, full team. FIWB throughout the manufacturers is huge. I want to say it's at least 12, 13 cars and or 13 drivers, and each one of them is stout in their own right. But yeah, Dylan Robb, very, very creative painter and driver.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the front of this pack. It's still Brendan Book out front, Justin in that four machine pushing Brendan, and then Jonathan Hernandez, which that's who I was thinking the one car, as I'm used to Hunter being out there. And that from seasons ago. I don't know, flashback, I guess. But Thomas Harmon leading that high side, still just doing a great job, but that high side all night. These guys are learning a ton from tonight. The high side is tough. It's tough to make it work. You really have to push your car. But man, that high side is so incredibly strong right now. Jonathan Hernandez, I've raced with him in another league. Extremely strong. Thomas Harmon, you guys know him. He does a fantastic job. And then we have the 57 of Matt Burgess. All of these guys extremely strong and a great, great crew to lead that outside as you see them taking over that lead, Pete.
Yeah, side by side coming across the start stripe to start with 22 laps to go here for duel number 2. But look at that bottom side just rocking on by, leaving the 1 and the 68 behind, right along with the 57 of Matt Burgess. And they are clear all the way back to the 51 right now of Steve Maggio.
Yeah, that low side was like, you think you're going to lead out here? Wait a sec, see what we've got. And these guys are just on top of each other pushing. And like I said, Pete, if you push the pusher, you can get such a huge run. It really does work, but man, you really have to trust the drivers that are doing it, and you have to make sure that you are dead straight when you do it. Warn the driver, say you're about to get a push, and it will definitely rocket you guys out front. And that high side, they are now doing it. Take a look. All these guys on top of each other.
Yeah, that 51 Skittles machine of Steven Maggio, very, very strong last season. Here comes the 5 of Brendan Brooks, right back on, being pushed by the 4 of Justin Anscock. Have to get used to another number by that driver. Jonathan Hernandez, he was leading just a moment ago, now finds him back in P number 5. Riley Rosenbrook up 2 spots to P7, now up 3, sitting P6. But so far, biggest mover of the night, Michael Walls in that 47, sitting P6, up 10 spots.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job. And Dylan C. Robb, he's back here in 14th, but don't sleep on him. He's up 10 spots, now 11. And I know he's going to do what he's got to make Daytona 250. So we'll see what happens. But John Honeycutt, Team FTR, out here in 13th. So we'll see what he can do. Rob Newman, a new driver. Well, he used to race a couple seasons ago with us. He's in 18th. PJ O'Leary, 19th. Jacob Locklear, another FTR driver, 20th. Kevin Dallator, 21st. Austin Mitty, 22nd. Jeremy Kramer, 23rd. And Brian Jackson, 24th. And not a good sight from him. I don't think he's got any draft, Pete. Out here solo.
Yeah, I saw where I don't know if he got shuffled out, maybe got some bad contact and forced him to go low, but I saw him pull down low or end up down low, and the cars just went right on by. So I don't know if he was having some overheat or what the case may have been, but right now he is back in the loneliest spot.
Yeah, this is when you're just hoping for a caution to come out so you can catch back up, but it is a very lonely time when you're out there solo here at Daytona or Talladega. So very, very tough. And we got Jerk out there saying go 51 and 47. Let's take a look. That's going to be Steven Maggio and Micah Walls. And they are third. And Steven Maggio is first. Micah Walls, third.
Brendan Book and Justin Anscock kind of round out the top 4. Right now, P5 going to be John Hernandez. And Tom Flitcroft, he's down 1 spot after starting P5. P7, though, Tom Hartman in that frozen number 68. Usually you see him in an Avril Lavigne number 68. Wonder if that paint scheme's coming, or if maybe him and Avril just finally parted ways. Who knows?
That frozen scheme is very, very old. When I first raced with him, back in like 2021 maybe, he was racing that scheme. A lot of memories in that, but we have Mike Papa Bear Campbell 9th, now 10th. Matt Burgess in 9th. John Honeycutt 11th. Connor Cunningham 12th. Steven Maggio. Got a little bit of competition. These guys going side by side. Man, huge push from the 4 machine that's going to get Brendan a little bit loose. But, man, take a look how close this is, Pete.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it doesn't seem like there is a line right now that is is more in control than any other. These guys look like they just went green. Meanwhile, there's 17 laps to go. 51 looking maybe taking a little bit of a ride up front, but the 47 went a little too high. 51 might have tried to pull down low, but trying a little bit of side draft. 4 still down there with a big push from the 8 of Tom Flitcroft. Back side by side one more time. Book leading the way on the bottom.
Absolutely insane. Definitely a lot more aggressive in duel number 2, in my opinion. And Cooter, I need team schemes. That's what I need. Yeah, I just been busy trying to get everything ready for tonight, and it's been busy. It's been awesome. We're here tonight, and these guys side by side, you can see a lot of wiggling throughout the field as they are trying to switch positions and try to keep that thing straight. I can tell you these cars get swirly. A push really upsets the car, especially if you do not hit it straight on. So these guys are having a lot to handle. And Pete, we still have 16 to go. These drivers have been driving every last lap as if we only had 1 to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see the top side rocket ahead to the lead. Then you see the bottom side come on back. These cars, they are post-tandem race era. But I tell you what, the way these guys have been racing tonight, it seems like whoever can really lock up right at that pivotal moment might really help ensure someone makes the race or doesn't.
Taking a look at these drivers, I mean, it is just so incredibly tight. I'm impressed with how these guys are doing, and that 51 and 47 machine just working so well together on that outside. It just goes to show how well you can work together, making it happen on the outside. They are having a noselead out now. Book in second. Micah Walls who's going to take over that second spot. Steven Maggio out in the lead still. I think this is just going to be incredibly close. But Pete, my question is, when is this gonna break? When is the chaos gonna happen? And something's got to give, right?
So I get it. So you're throwing it back on me like I did to you in duel number 1. I got you. Yeah, no, I gotta say, probably with less than 10 laps to go is where the where it all comes into play. That is where people have to start making the moves. We saw where the 61 got put in the middle by the 48 and I believe it was the 15 of Forrest Smith last race. Well, who's it going to be this race? These games, as racing has gone on for years and years, or these races, I should say, have gone on for years and years. It's like a big game of chess. And it's all about putting yourself in the right place at the right time and really trying to make sure that when that checkered flag falls, you're the first one to see it. But right now, the 5 and the 51, it seems like they want it the most because they are staying side by side. The 4 and the 47 doing masterful job pushing right when they really need to.
Yeah, it is so fun out here at Daytona, but it can be so stressful. And I can imagine that every lap that they survive is like, whoo, these guys are going to be worn out by the time this is over. But 12 more laps to go. We're on board with Philip Bridgman, and you can just see the banking that these cars are on, which just helps the speed. And there's so much horsepower in these cars. Just take a look at that back spoiler there. That's insane. And this is trying to slow these cars down a little bit. But man, oh man, you can hear him feathering it once again. Philip doing all he can to hang off, not put too much pressure on, not make any contact to upset Connor Cunningham directly in front of him, but they're doing great as we come up 11 to go.
I remember when these cars first came out, the rear fin was solid color, and everybody was complaining that they couldn't see the car ahead, so they made the rear plexiglass
little window.
Right, and you still couldn't see beyond the driver ahead.
Yeah.
So okay, the NASCAR gave them what they wanted, but it was still a lose-lose. You really have to trust the driver ahead of you, knowing that they're on top of their game, and you're able to follow them through. And if something happens, you can either avoid it or you're in it.
Take a look at Micah Walls. I mean, he's currently sitting in 5th, and it looks like he's right out front. So it just goes to show you can be further back than what you think, just because the cars are so extremely tight. But trying to cool that car off right now. I'd love to know what his temperature is, but he is pushing the heck out of Steven Maggio, doing a fantastic job. And every bump that he makes just shoots them out further on that high side. But you really, really have to trust each other and the line that you can drive.
I see Steven Maggio dipping down right about that second line all the way through the corners, trying to keep that 4 way low and maybe even pack a little air, maybe a little bit of side draft. Pop back up, pick up the 47 with the 1 of Jonathan Hernandez right behind. Meanwhile, 5, 4, 8, 86, and the 71 of Mike Papa Bear Campbell all in a solid line as the bottom side moves ahead one more time.
I don't know if these drivers are getting worn out a little bit. They're still up there, but I feel like they're not as crazy as they were, at least. You can see a little bit more gap between these drivers, a little bit more patience. Now that's going to go away. I'm going to call it around 5 to go, just like duel number 1. Aggressiveness is going to pick up, and chaos. I will not be surprised if we see a caution or 2 before this duel is over.
I talked to the aide of Tom Flickroff before the race kicked off tonight, and he said that he's got an average of 3.7 here at Daytona.
Sure does.
We were talking about, I mean, he's been phenomenal at the restrictor plate tracks. I think not last season, maybe the season before, he won 3 out of the 4 restrictor plate tracks with the help of James Holzer and Brendan Book and Mike Allard and a few of the other guys that he's raced with season after season here, but also year after year back on the console side. Got a lot of friends that have followed each other around, and they are absolutely a very, very solid group, and I'd be glad to race with any single one of them.
All right, we got to talk about some of these drivers in the back. We have Kevin Dalator in 23rd, and you can see it on the map. He is pretty far back there, not what you want to see. Jeremy Kramer is in that 4 machine, and that's going to be tough for him to try to make it up front. Austin Mitty in the 9 car. He's in 20th. Matt is in 19th currently. PJ O'Leary in 17th. Rob Newman, 18th. Dylan C. Robb, who was part of the driver spotlight, currently sitting 15th with Jacob Palmer in 16th. We have Philip Bridgman. He's going to be in 13th right now. Hunter Johnson, 14th. So what are these guys going to do when the laps start winding down? I mean, it's 7 to go. We're going to be coming up next to 6 to go. Things are going to start to ramp up, Pete.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where we were talking earlier about. You got to these cars. They get that big. They get that big draft. I mean, you close up on that car ahead of you very, very quickly. That's where you got to take that run when the chips are on the table, and maybe try to take it 3 wide if you have a little bit of an opening. Maybe try to thread that needle just a little bit without possibly causing the big one. But you're going to need help to do that, and it's got to be somebody that you can either follow and be able to hold a steady line, or you got to be that leader and guide them on up and through. The aggression's going to spike. 5 laps to go next time.
Yeah, I don't know if you just saw that, but Riley Rosenbrook just absolutely disappeared for a good 5 to 10 seconds. I know that had to mess Mike Papa Bear Campbell up. As you can see, quite a bit of a gap. He had no clue where he was, and that's scary as you were trying to be in the front of the field. So not what you want to see towards the end of the race. We'll see if that settles down for him, but Riley off of that 8 machine, trying not to cause any harm to drivers around him. But man, this is getting so close. And Cooter, I see you out there. Yeah, message me, see what we can do here. But 5 to go, Pete. Brendan still in the lead. Steven Maggio still out front on that high side. You can see these cars just back and forth.
It's kind of interesting to see the 51 of Steven Maggio up on the high side in that Skittles machine. It'll actually go really, really high up in the corner and then bring it on back down. I don't know if he's in communication with the 47 to help the 47 cool off a little bit, or what the deal is there. But he definitely goes a little bit higher. And as I say at this time, he kind of keeps the 4 pinned down one more time. Maybe again trying to drag him back. But the 8 of Tom Flickroft all over the back end of the 4 of Justin Anisgok. 5 getting a big old push from the 4. And it looks like he's going to lead this one 4 laps to go.
Yeah, that 51 and the 47 are teammates, so you know there's a ton of communication going on between the two. If he's going to go low, he's trying to help his teammate, trying to cool that engine down, make sure that he can give a push when it's needed. It's going to be extremely difficult to go 3 wide and not wreck here. These cars are just too loose, and when you get that hit, man, it really upsets it. So 4 to go, coming up to 3. We'll see what happens, but Brendan, he has been absolutely dominating out here, and his teammate earlier, Micah, he was out there dominating Duel 1, and you saw how that turned out. We'll see how it turns out for Brendan.
Yeah, I have to see the 4 kind of moves up a little bit, kind of plays the game with the 51 that time. Maybe trying to say, hey, quit it. It's too late in the race for this. But yeah, 5 got a big shove that time. Last race, about this time is where we started to see people from the low side move to the high side, high move to the low. Really a bit of bouncing off right there. But the 4, does he try to push the 5 out as far as he can and then pick up the 51 for a push to the W? Or does the A to Tom Flitcroft come from nowhere with the 51 behind him to go for that win? Tom Flitcroft, a very, very good super speedway racer, and he's had a pretty solid night all night long so far.
This is absolutely insane. Hunter Johnson tried to make a 3 wide. No one went with him, and so he had nowhere to go, had to find his way back in line, but things are starting to really shake up here. We have Steven Maggio. He looks like he is on the high side. Where is he gonna go? And we have a driver out here out front. That's going to be Kevin Dalator. He's going to bring it off the track as we come up to the final lap. Will we stay green, Pete? We only have a few more, couple hundred feet to go before we see what happens. But man, this is getting pretty wild.
Salute coming to 1 to go next time by. They are right back side by side off of turn number 4. 51's up high. 50 and down. Honeycutt's around. Will they get to the line? We're going to stay. White flag, Eliza.
Absolutely intense here. A lot of drivers involved in that. From 17 on back, FTR affected John Honeycutt, Jacob Locklear, Austin Mitty, Rob Newman, Dylan C. Robb. He is in trouble for these drivers, but let's take a look. Steven Maggio still out front. We're going to have Michael Walls in second, Jonathan Hernandez in third, Thomas Harmon fourth. These guys, what's going to happen? The 51 car he's on his own little island out here. Brendan Book quickly approaching. Is he going to take it somewhere else, or is he going to give him a shove? Here we go down to the finish here. Jonathan Hernandez, he is going to take that win. Thomas Harmon in second, and Thomas says he's not good at super speedways. Here he goes in second. Michael Walls third, Steven Maggio fourth, Brendan Book fifth, Matt Burgess sixth, Tom Flitcroft seventh, Justin Inisagak eighth, Philip Bridgman ninth, Riley Rosenbrook finishing out in the top 10.
Yeah, Mike Popper finishing in P11, Hunter Johnson 12th, Jeremy Kramer 13th, 14th P.J. O'Leary, 15th going to be Matt Sisler, Jacob Palmer right behind him in 16th, 17th Jacob Locklear, John Honeycutt P18, Austin Mitty P19, 20th is going to be Rob Newman, Dylan C. Robb 21st, Connor Cunningham 22nd, Kevin Dalator and Brian Jackson out of the race, 23rd and 24th.
Remember, the top 19 will move on here, but we do have drivers that did make qualifying pole 1 and 2, so they automatically moved on. Just crazy, Pete. What a wild, wild night. Absolutely insane, but that's the duels for you. Tomorrow, I will have a graphic out to let you know who made it for sure and let you know who will be starting where on the grid for the Daytona 250 next week. It's going to be a wild one.
Yeah, I can't wait to kick off the season, see who's going to be where, what kind of racing we see with a full 40-car field. I'm sure the drivers that don't make the race are going to be spotting for those that do, and then get ready for Atlanta the week after. Eliza, season 5 is kicked off, and I'm glad to be back with you.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm glad to have you out here, and I know these drivers. I think they have like a race feature that maybe some of them are just going to blow off some steam and see what they can do out here, but you see a lot of drivers still lined up saying, hey, let's do this. So Great fun to see out here, but for us, it is over tonight. I appreciate you guys being here, and I sure know the drivers do as well. But thank you so much. It was so much fun. We'll see you at the Daytona 250.